Welcome to yet another of one of my snazzy YouTube videos. This one is a little bit different of a challenge. I went to start my little Dodge Dakota the other day, turned on the heater or the air conditioner, and it went bring. And I don't know how many of you recognize that noise. I sure as heck did. In 40 years of driving, the two times it made that noise, it was a mouse inside the heater fan losing his life. I got to position my truck a little closer to the shop, and we got to tear the dash apart, get that damn mouse out. So first thing I need to do is disconnect the battery. I'm taking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bolts across the top of the dash out. Do as much work from outside as I can. This damn thing stinks. The glove box came out with these 3 little tabs on the back. 2 of the tabs face backwards. The center tab faces forward. So you're going to feel like you're going to bust it pulling it out. Next, I got to pull these kick panels out. It's just pulling out. Ooh. In case you didn't see that, that was a dead mouse murdered by the fan. He fell through that little cowling I pulled off. After you pull both side kick panels out, there's a nut to take off on each side, one on each side. It's a 13mm wrench that does the job. I don't think you need to even take it all the way off, just back it off a good ways. This should allow the dash to slide back. There's a cover underneath the steering wheel. I'm taking out 3 Phillips screwdriver screws. Cover just pops right off. 2 screws. Take this bottom panel off in front of the shifter. Another screw up top here. Corner of the glove box. I just pulled the dash bezel loose, or whatever you want to call it. Just grabbed it and gave it a good pull, and it popped out. A couple more screws for this panel. There's another bracket in front of the shifter. Underneath that panel I just pulled out, it's like a couple 10mm. Bolts to the floorboard and to the dash. I hate to pull the carpet up, so let's see what I can get away with. I pulled the 2 bolts that held this dash on. I gave it a good hard pull. It's pulled loose. I can see in between the dash and the pillar. Now I can just kind of move it out of the way, I hope. You can see where when I took that 13mm bolt loose and backed it off, that allowed this dash to slide out. And I kind of snatched this bracket in front of the shifter up and over its bracket, so maybe a pain in the ass putting back in. We'll find out. I was able to work the ratchet up from down below to get to a bolt. There's another bolt right here. I put a swivel on to get it. There's probably a few more. I can access some of them where I pulled the dash back. Okay. There were 3 bolts on this edge of this housing. One is behind the arm which the accumulator hooks to, and I had to kind of just move that arm around to get to it. Then you got two bolt holes here on the bottom that held the accumulator, and a couple across the bottom, actually 3 on this side, the opposite side, and 1 up here on the corner. And this came out, and there's no evidence of the mouse being in there. Now we know he was. He obviously escaped. Heater core is right there. Could be a mouse caught up inside of there. I'll vacuum that. And you got a hatch above the fan going up. I actually stuck my hand in there. I don't feel nothing. I already pulled the kick panel out, but there's another piece of plastic behind the kick panel. I'm actually sitting here without my mask on. I can still smell a dead mouse, but it's probably from right there on the carpet where he was laying. There might even be pieces of mouse up underneath the carpet still, but I did vacuum. That could be a piece of him right there. That's kind of gross. Ugh, ugh, ugh. That makes me want to puke. Now you can take the blower motor out with the bolt there. I think there's one up top and one over on the other side. And it should pull out towards you. And I think they're saying you might have to cut a wire. I've accomplished what I've set out to do. And I got to do some vacuum and some scrubbing and get the smell out of here. Then I'll put it back together. I cut this piece of rat wire. And it's going to go right up here above the fan. There's a duct going up and out underneath the plastic cover right there under the hood. And that's how they got in. They make their way up to that cover however which way, then they drop right on down into the fan. So hopefully if I can wedge this wire inside there, they won't be able to do that again. Everything I've done to get to this sucker I think was required. 5 bolts across the top of the dash. The kick panels in the bottom, they just snatch out. There's no bolts holding it. Loosen up the 13mm hex for that bolt right there. Loosen the passenger side up real good. Loosen the driver's side up just a little bit. Snatch the dash bezel out just by pulling on it. Undid the 3 bolts for the panel below the steering wheel. They're along the bottom, the screws. Then pull that panel out. Move the glove box, no tools necessary. 2 bolts at the bottom of this center panel in front of the shifter, along with a series of bolts across the top that you can get to once the dash is pulled out. And once you got the center panel out, then you can get to that bracket in front of the shifter. And that might be a bitch getting it back in. I have to make sure I go up and over its bracket and put it back in place. If not, I'm going to pull the carpet back further and pull additional bolts out to remove the bracket entirely. 8 bolts. Pull the cover off with a blower. And it's actually still hooked to the accumulator, so it's just sitting underneath the dash. And I was able to pick the dash assembly up over my bracket. Very good. And this bracket here has got a slot built into it, and that allowed me to do that. So it's sitting in place. So I need to stick those screws in first, since it's pulled back just a little bit. And once I get them close, then what I like to do, the bolt holes are kind of elongated. I'll look for the mark where they've been sitting. The same thing will apply here. I can see where the dash is. I believe the mark is a little bit forward of the washer, so the dash needs to be pulled back a little bit. So I'll get them snugged down. Start the 5 bolts across the top of the dash. Once everything's started, then I'll hunker down and tighten them up. She's coming back together. I use carpet cleaner, heavy concentration of it on that mousy spot. I sprayed some Lysol type spray, disinfectant spray up inside the fan, wiped it out with the paper towel. I put that wire up top above the fan. Hopefully it's wedged in there good enough. Just if you try that, get it wedged in really good, because if it falls into your fan, which it very well may happen to me, but hopefully it will keep mice out and it'll stay put. And then I'll just put all these panels back in. Hopefully I got all the guts out of here. Thanks for watching my video. Hopefully this will help you get to your blower motor on your Dodge Dakota. I work on all sorts of crazy things. I got 40 years as a mechanic on heavy equipment, machinery, industrial machinery, work inside of plants. I've got mechanic truck experience, big trucks, and a lot of experience doing different things. So please consider subscribing to my channel, give it a thumbs up. And if you love life and learning new things, remember, goaimless.com.